Good morning, my dear students. So, in last class, we have discussed about the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. It means the sexual reproduction mechanism takes place in angiosperms in the site of a plant called as flower. So, that's why the flower we called it as a sexual part of the plants. So, in that flower, which has composed of different parts, like we called it as the calyx and corolla, and the androecium and gynoecium. Among these four parts, the calyx can performing the different functions like protection of internal parts during the bud condition. Then the corolla, which will helps mainly for the pollination to attract the insects. And these two parts of calyx and corolla we can consider as a non-essential parts of the flower. When it comes to the innermost whorls like the androecium and gynoecium, these two parts we can consider as the innermost parts and essential parts, because which are involved in the sexual reproduction. The sexual reproduction in the flowering plants like the amphimixis process or the amphimictic, that mechanism was first found by the scientist called as the Camerarius. According to his development, he considered as the male gamete like stamen, he considered male part, and the ovary is the female part according to his consideration. Whoever the scientist who was studied about the sexual reproduction in flowers, he considered as the stamens are the male parts and ovaries are the female parts. So let us continue these male parts and female parts, like we called it as a sexual reproduction. Then during the time of the sexual reproduction, what is the phenomena will be going on? So the events which takes place during sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So during the sexual reproduction, the flower parts, like we called it as the structure of, first of all, the events during sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction events. What it is happening during time of sexual reproduction. Let us take the basic events which takes place during the time of sexual reproduction. One we called it as the sporogenesis. Sporogenesis. So the sporogenesis, it is in two types. One we called it as the microsporogenesis, and the megasporogenesis. One, the process we called it as the microsporogenesis, and the megasporogenesis, that we called it as a sporogenesis mechanism. Then after sporogenesis, another process it is occur, we called it as the pollination. Then it is followed by the fertilization. Then it is followed by the embryogeny. So these four basic events can be observed for during the time of the sexual reproduction in the plant bodies. Now that we called it as the events in a sexual reproduction. The sexual reproduction events, like one we called it as the sporogenesis mechanism. So sporogenesis mechanism, it is in two types. One, it is a microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis. Shall we have to discuss about this microsporogenesis? So what is a microsporogenesis? What is, first of all, what is a sporogenesis? Why we consider as a sporogenesis? What is the importance of the sporogenesis? How this sporogenesis is involved the cell divisions? How the production of the male gametes? So all these things we can be discussed under the concept of microsporogenesis. So the microsporogenesis, the microsporogenesis. First, in sporogenesis, first event we called it as the microsporogenesis. So this microsporogenesis, the microsporogenesis, it represents the production of the microspores from a microspore mother cell by undergoing a meiosis process. Now here the definition of microsporogenesis, it indicates formation of microspores from a microspore mother cell by undergoes sporic meiotic cell division. Meiotic cell division. So now the formation of microspores from microspore mother cell or spore mother cell. The spore mother cell involved the process we called it as the meiotic cell division, and to produces the 4 haploid spores. How this mechanism is occur in the male part of the flower? Let us discuss about the male part. That male part we called it as a structure. If we have to observe the male part, that we called it as a pollen or a stamen. Now we have to observe this is a structure of a stamen. So on this stamen, if you have to observe, which has composed of the parts, like we called it as the different parts will be present. The stamen has composed of the parts like we called it as anther and the connective and filament. So commonly, while you have to observe the structure of androecium or stamen, so the stamen is called as the stamen is called as microsporophyll. The stamen is called as the microsporophyll. So this microsporophyll is a anterior part that we called it as, this complete one we called it as a microsporophyll. This structure we can consider as a microsporophyll, and which has three different parts like we called it as a anther and a connective and the filament. Now the different parts, what the functioning can be performed by these parts in the sense, the first part we called it as a long filament or a cylindrical structure it is present, we called it as a filament. And these filament can be attached with the anther by the help of a structure called as the connective, or whether it may be attached in the dorsal side region or in the base of the anther, or it may be in the ventral side of the anther. Based on that, the stamens will be different types, and here we can consider the anthers are stick to the or attached to the filament. And this filament is the middle portion, which is a supporting part between anther and the receptacle part. On the ovary, these may be attached, or on the thalamus, these may be attached. And when it comes to the connective, so these anthers, now we have to observe this anther is a bilobed anther. This is the one lobe and this is the another lobe. That's why the anther is in bilobed condition. The anther is bilobed. And each lobe of anther, each lobe has two pollen sacs. So these pollen sacs we called it as a, that we can consider as microsporangia. Each pollen sac we can consider as a microsporangium, and it has two, that's why microsporangia. Like the dithecous anther, di it means two-lobed, that's why, or we can consider as a bilobed anther. Each lobe is in a dithecous, it means two thecas, each theca one microsporangias will be present. Like the bilobed anther is called as tetrathecous and tetrasporangiate. Tetrathecous and tetrasporangiate. The tetrathecous and tetrasporangiate. Tetrathecous, it represents four thecas will be present in each of the anther, And these filament is a supporting structure and connective which will connect both the anther lobes. Both the anther lobes will be connected with one another by the help of a connective structure, and which is connects to the filament also. Now this anther, the structure of a anther. So the structure of an anther commonly we can consider. So here it is a structure of anther. If we have to observe the structure of the anther, stamen is present, is a microsporophyll, and the anther is a bilobed, and each lobe has two pollen sacs. Each pollen sac having one microsporangia. Like the bilobed anther is tetrathecus and tetrasporangiate. So how this tetrathecus and tetrasporangiate is present means, if you have to observe the transverse section of an anther, so now we have to observe the tetrathecus anther or the tetrasporangiate anther. Now we have to observe, so each theca or each of the lobe has composed of two thecas. Now we have to consider this is a one theca, and this is the another thecus, and here it is a one thecus, and this is the another thecus. The pollen sacs that we called it as, these are the two lobed. So each lobe having a two, one, two, one, two, like totally four, consider as four thecas will be present in a bilobed anthers. So sometimes some of the Malvaceae members, if you have to observe in the Malvaceae members which has composed of single lobed structures, it means ditheca or only two thecas will be present. Like which will stores, or if you have to observe this internal structure, then here we can find the totally four sporangias. It means one sporangia and two, three, four. Totally four sporangias are present in the pollen sac. So four pollen sacs are present here. It is a pollen sac. And these are the lobes, the anther lobes, and this is a filament. And the central part we can consider as a connective. And the pollen sacs composed of microsporangias. So the pollen sacs having the microsporangiums at the center. And when you have to observe in these cases, the bilobed anthers with tetrathecus and the tetrasporangiate condition. Some are in Dithecus, anthers, those are having only bisporangiate condition, and some are in monosporangiate condition, single thecums it will be present, like which has composed of different in their structures. If you have to observe these structures, how they are developing, or internal, how these pollen sacs are developing. Inside the anther, there are different types of cells are formed. How these cells are formed are hypodermally it can produce us by different types of the cells. Those cells we can consider as archisporial cells. Those epidermis formation purpose, they helps the cells we can consider as parietal cells, or we call archisporial cells. Now we have to observe, so internally by inside these pollen sacs in the outer region, which has composed of the archisporial cells. In anther, hypodermal layer formation. Formed by archisporial cells. So the archisporial cells are present inside these pollen sacs, and those archisporial cells which undergoes a periclinal division, to produce two different types of the cells, like we called it as the parietal cells and the sporogenous cells. Now these archisporial cells undergoes a cell division. That cell division we called it as a mitotic cell division, to produce us the cells, like we called it as, one it is a parietal cells, and it can produce us the sporogenous cells. The archisporial cells which undergoes a mitotic cell division to produce us the cells like we called it as the parietal cells and the sporogenous cells. These parietal cells, by periclinal cell division produces endothecium, middle layers, and tapetum. These three wall layers are produced by a parietal cells. These parietal cells undergoes the periclinal cell division, and they can produce us like we called it as the endothecium and middle layers and tapetum. These three layers, the three wall layers, are produced through the help of the parietal cells. The parietal cells can produce these wall layers, and the sporogenous tissues undergoes the sporic or undergoes the modifications and periclinal division to produce us the spore mother cells. Now these sporogenous tissues undergoes changes to produce us the spore mother cell. So this spore mother cell undergoes a sporic meiotic cell division to produce us the spores called as tetrads of the spores. The tetrads of the spores are produced by the spore mother cells. Now these spore mother cells undergoes the sporic meiotic cell division, meiosis, and it undergoes a mitotic cell division or periclinal division. They undergoes the periclinal division to produce us the spore mother cells. These spore mother cells are in diploid condition and which undergoes the sporic meiosis cell division. Those spores can produce us the haploid tetrads of each spore mother cell can produce us 4 spores. Those spores are in a haploid condition. Now these are arranged. How these are arranged in the sense like in a different modifications or undergoes changes occur inside the anther wall or inside the pollen sac. First of all, the formation of the wall layers, those we called it as the epidermis. Commonly, if you have to observe in the TSR, we called it as the mature anther or a young anther. If you have to observe the young anther, which has composed of the structure, we called it as the anther which has composed of different wall layers, we called it as epidermis. And this is the outermost layer produced by the archisporial cells. Then after these archisporial cells formation, by the help of the parietal cells which are produced from the archisporial cells undergoing the periclinal division and produces the second layer, that second layer we called it as the endothecium. This epidermis is followed by the endothecium. And this endothecium is a protective layer present beneath the epidermis, and moreover it is a single layered structure. It is a single layered structure. This we called it as a endothecium. It is a endothecium. Then inside this endothecium, the endothecium is followed by the different layers, like we called it as 2 to 3 layers of middle layers are arranged. The 2 to 3 layers of middle layers are arranged inner to the endothecium. this is a one layer, then it is followed by the another layer, like 2 to 4 layers of middle layers are formed. Then from middle layers to the formation of inner layers, we called it as the or the innermost cells, we can consider as the tapetum cells. Those tapetum are majorly helps for the nourishment of sporogenous tissues. For the sporogenous nourishment purpose, the cells are helping, we can consider as a tapetum cells. And each pollen sac has composed of a layer, we called it as a pollen or micro, that we can consider as a sporangium. Like totally 4 sporangias will be present. Like these we called it as a middle layer, the middle layers, and inner to these middle layers the presence of the structure we can consider as a tapetum. The tapetum, and these microsporangias are covered with 4 to 5 layers of sporogenous cells, and these wall layers also we can consider as a diploid in structures. Like there are tetrads form of the sporogenous tissues. Each one we can consider as a sporangia. So each sporangia can produce the spores. By before that spores, they can produce the spore mother cells. Those spore mother cells undergoes the sporic meiosis cell division. Then the formation of tetrads of the spores will be produced. When you have to observe the different layers, in between them the presence of a layer we can consider as a connective. The connective portion is present at the center. Towards the corners, all these they are located, like we called it as the microsporangias. The microsporangias are located at the corners. In the 4 corners, 4 microsporangias are present, and this portion we can consider as a connective part. Now we have to observe what are the functions can be performed by the epidermis and endothelium and middle layers and tapetum. Now we have to observe the outermost layer we can consider as a epidermis. It is formed from the archisporial cells, and this epidermis, it protects the internal layers. Then it is followed by the endothecium. This endothecium is majorly helps for the dehiscence of anther. The anther walls dehiscence purpose, this endothecium is helping along with the middle layers. And the dehiscence is occur in the region we can consider as a stomium. The stomium is the part where the less thickness of the anther walls are present. That region we can consider as a stomium. In that stomium, the dehiscence of the anther is occur, and the middle layers are arranged from 2 to 4 layers, and they also can performing the involvement of dehiscence of anther, and providing protection to the internal parts. Then inner to these, the presence of a tapetum, the tapetal cells, which are polyploidy condition, multinucleated and polyploidy condition. Mostly in 3n condition it will be present, or multinucleated cells we can observe. The matured cells of the tapetum, it helps for the having a more nuclear material and more DNA and dense cytoplasm. These characters we can observe in the tapetal cells, and these tapetal cells majorly functioning for the nourishment. It provides nourishment to the developing sporangias or sporogenous tissues. So those sporogenous tissues undergoes changes like periclinal divisions to convert into the spore mother cells. Those spore mother cells can help for production of the tetrads of the spores, and these tapetal cells also having a thickening of the substance called as the callose. That callose is helps for the attachment of tetrads of the spores. After maturation, when these spores will be get detached by the help of the callose, and like each and every, now the tapetal cells are helping for maturation. It means for providing nourishment to the sporangias. These sporogenous tissues can help for the spore mother cell production purpose. From those spore mother cells involve the sporic meiotic, and finally production of the spores. Those spores we can consider as the pollen grains. So thank you for watching this video, and the remaining concepts we will be continue in the next class. Thank you.